Hello and welcome to Creative Cousins, or welcome back. If you're new here, we are two cousins and we make art. My name is Allie, and this is my wonderful co-host Beth.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about a photographer named Alfred Stieglitz. And he was kind of known as like the pioneer of modern photography. So we're doing a series where we talk about artists and photographers, and I'm going to tell Beth a little bit about him. She's going to ask her questions, and yeah, that'll be our episode today. We don't have any recent creations this week. There's going to be a lot of fun info and lots of pictures. We're going to share some of his work here and our thoughts on it. So I think we're going to have a really good episode.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited to learn all about this photographer. I've heard of his name before, but I've never known really like who he was at all. Just the name sounds vaguely familiar. So it's exciting.
Yeah, his name sounded familiar to me too. Whenever we decided to do this, and I didn't know anything about him, but he was one of the photographers who helped make photography actually like recognized as art. Like at the time, cameras were sort of new, and a lot of artists didn't think that photography was really art. They saw it as just using a machine to make a picture and not they didn't think it was the same process, and it didn't like deserve the same sort of recognition that artwork did because of that. And he really tried throughout his whole career to make people see that photography could be more than just a picture taking. So he did a lot of like portraits, and he did a lot of like like cityscapes and landscapes that he would often like frame creatively, or just he tried to make it seem like make he tried to make like series on things that were um, showing how like everyday things could be art too. So there's a lot of I'll get into like
Okay.
his series later on, but that's essentially what he was known for. He also did end up opening his own gallery, like his own art galleries, like whenever he started to take breaks or get away from just doing photography. But he was originally from New Jersey, and he was a son of German Jewish immigrants.
Okay. Cool.
And he actually was a mechanical engineer. So he was studying mechanical
Oh.
engineering whenever he decided to pursue photography, which I think is so interesting for so many reasons. Because, like, as a photographer myself, who used to be a nurse, I'm finding that so many of like photographers that go into like photography like didn't go to school for photography, and I think it's really interesting. Like, there's a good number that also did, but I just think it's really interesting how a lot of different careers, a lot of different like personality types end up being drawn to it.
Yeah.
Um,
I I was gonna ask you like, oh, what did he do before photography? Because like, was he into art? Because photography was probably kind of was kind of pretty new when he was first starting out. So I was wondering if he was already in the art world, then discovered the photography, or if he was in something completely different. But that's interesting that he was in something completely different.
yeah, it was completely different, which I think is like, I don't know, it's nice for me to hear, honestly, because like, I mean, obviously I've met at this point a lot of people who are in something completely different, but like to be in mechanical engineering, I think is really different. And like his background was also like he lived like comfortably like with his family, like they were in the wool business, and I guess they were wealthy. So like it's interesting that
Oh.
he abandoned his, stable job, studies, to pursue photography full time.
What time period was that? Because that must have been probably, that would be
I
a
mean,
pretty crazy
probably
choice if that was like really
probably be
early.
important for me to mention that. So that was in he was studying engineering in 1881,
Oh,
and
so
that's
was
when, yeah, so he was young, so was in Germany like when he first bought like his first camera, studying. So he was in school like when he first started like tinkering with photography, and he didn't finish his studies there. He decided to just go for it and
wow.
return to New York in 1890. Yeah, he found that photography in America was not nearly as advanced as it was in Germany. So he started the camera club in New York. He did this a couple times. He throughout his life he started clubs or wrote journals about photography
Yeah.
to like get the word out and kind of influence, there to be more.
You're more interested in
um
it, right?
yeah, which is really cool and takes a lot of bravery and courage. And um, I just know he must have been like a really interesting person. Um, to be able to do something like that, I think, yeah, it just takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you to be a pioneer in anything. So,
I wonder if he got a lot of interest. Was there a lot of people in his camera club? Like, did people, or was it just like him and one guy?
no, I mean, I don't know exactly, but like from what I was reading, it sounded like it was an actual group of people. He ended up making another group of photographers in 1902. I don't think it would have been very notable if it was only him and one other person. It doesn't say exactly how many people were in it or anything like that, but it does say that his like publishing his journals that he published like as a result um were like very successful.
Oh,
So yeah, he wrote a lot of essays and like was publishing in a magazine.
oh,
So
that's
yeah,
cool.
and that ran for it says it ran from like 1902 to 1917. So um, he also used the magazine to not just show photography work, but he eventually started showing the work of European artists like Picasso and Matisse
Oh, wow.
and Brancusi. And then he later does, when he does open galleries later on, he actually starts showing actual works from them too. So he was dedicated not just to photography, but to also advancing like the art scene in New York, which I'm sure like that had to have played a role in like getting the artists of America to like accept photography more as an art. Like if you
Yeah,
also are like promoting art and like you're also doing things for the art community and like, giving back and not just like demanding to be a part of something,
right.
then they probably respected him a little bit more for that, I would imagine. Like if
Yeah,
you think that photography is worthy of being like displayed like next to like artworks like that, then you have to like show that you believe what you say. And like I think he did that through his galleries.
yeah, that's interesting. He probably was like, I guess I have to start my own gallery in order to get people to put my stuff in a gallery. So I'm gonna make a gallery, and then I'm also gonna put other people's stuff in the gallery. And so,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
say exactly like what his motivations were for opening the gallery, but I just think that would make sense, right? Like
yeah.
um the first gallery that he opened in 1905 was known as it was on 291 Fifth Avenue and became known as 291. So that was kind of the name of the gallery, even though that wasn't like the official name. The official name was like Little Galleries of the Photo Succession, and
Oh, it's a
Photo
long name.
Succession was that like yeah, Photo Succession was that second group of photographers that he started. Um,
Oh,
so at first, it was just photography that was displayed by the members, like the photography of the members of that group in
right.
the gallery, but then he later expanded it to include European and American artists.
That's really interesting. I like really wonder like the capabilities of photography, like the cameras at that time. It's hard to visualize like what a
Can
camera.
only speaking as someone who did use a camera from I think the 1950s it was. Like I can only imagine what a camera 30 years older than that was capable of, and like it can't have been much, like at all. Like I am shocked if like, it had more than a couple of shutter speeds. Like I don't know, like I would be shocked. And like we'll go through like some of his works and everything, and I will try to like make my best guess on like what his settings might have been. But like I can only imagine how much harder it was to make actual art like with something that was so like rudimentary at the time.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
it gives them like I give them a lot of credit. They have to like figure out how to use those old cameras. Well, to them it's not old, but those cameras, and there was no Google. Okay, they didn't have
yeah.
YouTube to figure it out. Just to go just tinker with
There's
it.
no Google. You just have to go learn from friends. Which I'm sure he did in Germany. Like I'm sure that, that's how you learned. It's just like trial and error.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's the best way to learn sometimes. You'll learn some tough lessons that way, and then you'll probably never make those mistakes again.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really curious about like I'm just kind of funny like how he just like decided how he like stumbled upon it. Like, and it must have been so difficult like telling your parents like, yeah, I'm just gonna like quit my goals here about being a mechanical engineer and I'm gonna go do this thing that
I'd
nobody
imagine it
knows
was
about.
difficult. Even though they had money, I'm sure they still wanted him to like be able to be independent and everything. Um, but so you also have to remember like at this time, like these are film cameras, so you don't even know like how your work's gonna turn out until you like develop it. I don't know. I'm like saying that mostly in case anyone's listening, that is like thinking like, oh, like, like you can see what you're doing, right? No, you can't even see what you're doing at this point. You don't
No.
even know if like what you're making is good. So it's
Digital's
like
not around yet.
definitely, definitely like a lot of courage, right? Like to just have like that blind faith that like, you can create things that people will be interested in. So
Yeah. Wow.
he started in the 1910s, moving towards straight photography. So he wanted to show, I think for a while he was trying to like make photos kind of look like art or like replicate art,
Yeah.
and to show that you could be creative, that you could use a camera as like an artistic medium and not just like for documentary purposes. But he, I think, moved away from that to show like, okay, what makes photography unique? Like what can you do with a camera that you can't do with a paintbrush? Like let's focus on that for a minute. And so his like change in methods is shown in the picture the steerage. So if you go to I think this is a documentary photograph, and I
Yeah.
think that's like maybe he was tired of trying to prove that like photography could be more than just documentary, and he was instead like, well, art can't do this. And like art can't like capture the exact details of like this, like the passengers on this ship. And it
Yeah.
depicts immigrants on a ship, so it just kind of was really well known because it was just something that was like so classic to the time, and was just told a story of the time, and
Do you
it's
know
just one of his
where this was taken?
no.
Like what kind of immigrants? Like like Ellis Island type situation, or you think it's like
Actually don't know where it was taken. We can look it up.
but I do really like it. I like all of like the faces of everybody. It's like so different. And you can really zoom in. Like I like that it's a good quality photo. Like you could really zoom in and you can
I know
really
it's
like
impressive for the time and the gear that he had, but also that is kind of characteristic of film, I feel like.
there's just so
It was
much
taken
detail in here.
it was taken during a voyage from New York City to Paris.
Ah, okay.
Um, so I don't know if it was the third. Okay, so it shows the third class passengers of the steerage, the lower deck of the ship, which held hundreds of passengers in terrible conditions.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I was saying that's a lot of people.
So actually, like I'm getting varying things. Like from looking it up, I'm getting like conflicting information. Like another thing says it was taken on a cruise from Europe to America. Like what? I don't think that's right. And then someone else said that he took it while sailing to Europe on vacation in 1907. I don't know what the true story is. Well, this museum said the Whitney Museum of American Art says that it was taken sailing to Europe on vacation in 1907.
Okay, well, I believe museums. So I'm hoping the museums are right. Either
Yeah.
way, I do like that everybody looks different and it does seem very cramped in there. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Also, I think the composition of it is kind of cool because it's kind of like geometric. Um, like there's a lot of interesting shapes in the
Yeah,
image, and the image is kind of like sliced in half.
it is. Yeah, it's interesting. I really just like the people in here. Just like such big characters. I feel like just some people are just look so over it. So funny. I'm sure that really
And
was a big deal capturing these things. And he must have just like went all four into the documentary style. But I really like that in the other, I mean, you haven't shown any of these photos yet, but I totally get him wanting to show artwork that is like a painting or is like something familiar to people at the time, because that is kind of like when I try to make my digital paintings in a oil paint style. So I get people trying
yeah,
to like relate it to something else so that other people can kind of understand it better. So
yeah. No, I think it is kind of the same thing. It's like trying to make it look like another medium. Yeah, so that was one of his more famous ones, but later on he was introduced to Georgia O'Keeffe, which she was an unknown artist at the time, but he was really impressed by her drawings, so he put her work up at 291. And Stieglitz was already married at this point, and he was 23 years older than her, but they actually developed like a romantic relationship. She became like one of his biggest muses. I think this is like one of the things that you probably see first whenever you're like looking up Stieglitz. You like see like his work, like his portraits of Georgia O'Keeffe, um, because like she was like his most frequently photographed subject. But um, like I guess he actually took over like 350 portraits of her
wow.
um, in the span of like 19 years.
Yeah, and she is like very popular. She has like her own. It is interesting when these artists like they definitely go for people that for like other artists. It's like funny they just like want like they are inspired by other artists and then they develop some kind of something with them. It's just kind of funny. Same thing with Picasso basically.
Yeah, yeah, we did talk about that in the Picasso episode. Um, he also did not just like plain portraits of her, but he did like a lot of like close-ups and he did like there's a really famous one um of her hands. Yeah, so it's like interesting. It's like kind of weird, right? Like
It is kind of weird.
kind of
I
it's
like
kind
it.
of weird and a little creepy, but I like it.
I
Like
like
the
it.
composition is cool.
Yeah, because you have like the top hand is like
Yeah,
above
it's
the
like
way it's really
mist.
balanced, and I just really
Yeah,
like.
it's balanced, yeah.
And they're
Um
kind of gnarly, but I like it. They're all,
So for that reason, like because there's so many of them and so many different versions, like it's considered the most important work in his like overall like body of work. Um, I think like yeah, he just really did a lot for like portraits and creative portraits. And yeah, it's amazing what he was able to do with like such like old equipment, I'm sure, but like yeah, like a lot of the portraits like I'll show later. Actually, I'll show them now. we'll look at the portraits of Georgia O'Keeffe.
Okay. Sounds good.
Then I'll talk about his other series, but
And I
so
think Araya wants to look at them as well.
yeah, it was about time she made her presence known. Right,
Classic
girl, I
Araya.
need to look at green. Okay, so
I see the image. Okay. I do like it. I'm wondering, like, what is causing the swirl in the back? Is he doing, like, did he have, like, a backdrop that he just, like, put behind
I
it?
I it has to be a backdrop because there's nothing else that like would have created that like just from the camera. It had to have been
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Photoshop, so they absolutely did not just like slap that in there. It definitely was like I bet it was like a painting or something, but it's hard to know exactly what it was. But yeah, it's just kind of a straight up portrait, and then if you go to Georgia O'Keeffe 1918,
Oh, I've seen
this
this
one is
picture,
interesting.
I
Yeah,
think. I
I
feel like
feel
I've
like this
seen this
one.
one.
I think I've seen this before. I did this research too. And like it looks like she probably just gotten up or something or just came out of bed or something. I don't know. Like her
I
hair is like a
love her
little
face in
messed up.
this.
Yeah, and she's wearing like a bathrobe. Um but yeah, I don't really know like what this emotion or expression is, but it looks like very natural. Um it looks very natural to me.
I love the way her
It doesn't look like
hair is
she's
like draped on her
doesn't
arms and everything.
Yeah, it doesn't look like she's like trying too hard at all for this photo. It's kind of nice because it just looks like this is her in like her natural state, I guess.
Yeah. I really like it. It's actually really like paintable. It's like a really like the her
Yeah,
face in this. It's just like I
I
could
even
draw that or
how
something.
her I even like how her hands are placed. I think that's like one of the hardest things of like portrait photography is like having, hand placement, good hand placement. And I think this is a unique and good hand placement. It's not something a lot of people would think to do or to tell their subjects to do with their hands. But she looks comfortable in this photo. Like she looks relaxed. Like I think it's a really good photo.
I like the way the fabric is like folded in this. It's very just like naturally just good. It's just a good fabric placement. And that's hard to
Yeah.
get sometimes. I know that sounds
Yeah.
silly, but it just looks good. I
I wish I
do,
could have seen like the behind the scenes of this photo shoot, you know?
yeah, it could have been way more posed than we think.
Right. I'm thinking it's one or the other. It's either extremely posed or it's not at all and it's just one of those photos that you just happen to get because you were like, "Hey, you look pretty right now. Go sit in that chair." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's possible that he just like snapped this. Like and then it wasn't. Although I doubt he didn't just snap it because like you had to like set everything up, you know?
Yeah, I feel like
And
it'd be
like
a wild.
photography back then was like, oh, you to get one picture, you had to like set up the
You're
camera at least,
setting it
So
up. You can't. You have
unless,
to,
his setup was already set up, like maybe it was just already set up like that in his house, and then she woke up and he was like, yeah, just go sit over there, and like, you know what I mean? Like, would
yeah,
have loved to know like what the behind the scenes for this
it would be
was.
fun to know that. I do have a question because you said that obviously there was no Photoshop how we know it. Do you know if he did any like editing in the processing the when he's processing the film? Because you can do
And
like edits in the film darkroom and stuff.
yeah, so I don't have any information on that, but yeah, everything was filmed, so everything was processed.
Yeah, because for the audience, fun fact: Photoshop comes from when people used to like shop their photos in the dark room.
Yeah, the dark room was where you developed your film, so the product name Lightroom is like the opposite of that,
And
where you develop on a computer.
exactly. And then Dodge and Burn actually was done with like you could actually burn your photos like in real life. Anyway, it's fun. Photography facts. Okay, sorry. I like it. I like that one. Okay, I see the photo. I really like the whole like black outfit contrasted with the gray sky and everything. But like her face is still really light. Yeah, just all of
Yeah.
the colors are just like all really different, and it's really
The
cool.
focus the focus is really truly on her face because her face is like the only like bright part of this image, which I think is really cool.
Yeah,
And it's at like a slight downward angle. So, and she, because she's doing this, like you could see like she has a very strong like jawline, and she looks she doesn't look like mad, she just looks like proud or something.
yeah. I think that angle sometimes can make it look a little bit intimidating, but I think that's could be what they're going for. I feel like she does
Yeah, I
look like
think
she's a force to be reckoned with.
especially wearing all black. She looks very
Yeah,
like she means business.
yeah, yeah. And I just like how there's like no other like there's like literally nothing else in the background. It's just like gray with a little bit of light gray. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It is cool. I like it. It looks very cohesive. So moving on, we're going to look at another from the same year, 1923. And I like this one because I think it's in like a higher contrast lighting situation. Looks like it was outside or something, like maybe in the midday hours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if not in the midday hours, then maybe just on a really sunny day. But the highlights are very strong, and yeah, just like you can see the shadows like of her cheekbones. Even like there's a lot of shadows. There's like a shadow on her neck,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I mean, I think whatever he was doing here, he did it in tricky lighting, is my guess.
Yeah, couldn't have easily redone that. You
Yeah,
just hope you got the shot in this time, or any time using film. I really like the it's different from the other one because it's like a sepia um, tone, and I do like the close up. It's like really close up on her face, but it really has you focused directly on her face. You can't really see a lot of the details like in her eyes. Like there's like you can hardly. It's interesting. You can like hardly see the whites of her eyes. It's kind of creepy in a little way. Like her right eyes like looks completely
yeah.
just looks completely empty. But it's cool.
Another
It's
reason why I
dramatic.
think another reason why I say it might have been midday is because you can see that her brows are like a little furrowed, like she's trying not to squint. So I think she's maybe like looking at the sun or in the general direction of the sun.
Yeah, yeah. And I do like again how like soft the background is, but in this time you see like the light is those little like spots of light in the background, and so it looks really soft, and that's like a big contrast to like the face in
Yeah.
general.
I really wonder like what the aperture capabilities were for his camera. Like I'll have to look that up. Maybe like what was the lowest aperture available in 1923?
Yeah, like what were like what was a camera from 1923 that was like people that I'm curious like what that camera looked like. If I can like find that and post and like put a picture of what the cameras looked like in 1900s,
Oh
1923,
wow.
that would
I'm actually
be helpful.
I'm impressed actually. I wasn't expecting it to be. So I guess in 1923 there were lenses with apertures as low as like f2. And then in 1924 they came out with one that was 1.8. And for
So
reference, like nowadays, like the lowest you can get I think is 1 or 1.2,
what does
and
that
it goes
mean? It could for people that do not know what like
it just
that
the
is.
like
What kind of
lens of
photos?
the lens of the camera is like when you're looking at like how much available light you have, right? You want sometimes in a darker situation you want lower aperture so that you can let more light in. It's just the camera's lens, like how much it opens up, how much light it allows in. So like if you're at a low aperture, the background is going to be very blurry and your subject will be in focus, but it's going to let in a lot of light. And generally speaking, lenses that have low apertures are more expensive than lenses that do not.
Oh, sorry. I thought that Araya was talking for a second. That scared me.
She's showing her butt to the camera, I guess. I think she's probably like, I need to provide this audience with some comedic relief because they're talking about nerdy things. And thanks, Araya.
That's so funny. I think we underestimate in general the capabilities of what people had in the past because, I mean, technically nowadays, like film cameras, the basic, the basic stuff like they had back then, like, you know, it is just like you can still do this the same. I mean, you probably don't have all the fancy things like fancy bells and whistles as you do now, but you're gonna probably still be able to take like a good photo. Just maybe not as, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think the biggest difference, honestly, is with shutter speeds, um, rather than aperture, because and shutter speed is like the length of time that your camera is taking the picture for. So the longer the shutter speed, the more light you're letting in. Um, and I had to like keep her on my lap and like pet her, otherwise she's gonna be on the desk the whole time. So I think the biggest difference with shutter speeds, because with the technology that they had at the time, it was they couldn't get cameras that were going to take the picture really, really fast.
Yeah,
Nowadays we have like really quick shutters, so like you can go up to like, I mean, I forget, it's crazy like how fast of a shutter speed you can get, but like
yeah,
to give an example, like a really fast shutter speed is like 1/8,000. So what that means is 1/8,000th of a second, which is crazy. Like imagine dividing a second into 8,000 pieces, and then one of that little sliver, that tiny little sliver, is how long the camera opens and closes the shutter. That fast,
yeah.
like way faster than this, way faster than I'm doing it right now. Open close, open close. It'd be like literally I can't even do it like as fast as like um
Well, then I want to know what was the fastest shutter speed that they could do in 1923.
the oh wow, I'm impressed with that too
I
actually.
knew it.
Um, because the camera that I have from the 1950s, the fastest shutter speed is 1/100th of a second. So
Oh, okay.
I was imagining that like the fastest shutter speed was going to be like 1/60 or something. But they actually did have really good well they had one, the highest was 1/1000th of a second was the fastest available. And now I'm going to see what's the fastest available in 2025 just to give reference, depending on what kind of shutters the camera has. Electronic shutters can go up to 1/180,000th of a
My
second.
God.
Um,
When do you need that? That's so fast.
and there are scientific cameras which are not available to consumers, which can go up to trillionths of a second.
Well, technology, am I right, folks?
And then for mechanical shutters, the highest is what I said, 1/8,000th of a second.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good for mechanical.
Yeah. So it's 8 times better, even just for a mechanical camera. 8 times better.
Yeah.
8 times better in 100 years. Like for an electronic shutter, like that's, I don't even know how many times better that is. 180,000. Like that's 180,000 times better, actually. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Math.
Like what's 1,000 times? No, it's not 180. It's 180 times better. It's 180 times better than 1,000, because 1,000 times 180 is 180,000.
We got it.
We got math. We know math. Um,
What would be like a situation where you would want it to be like super fast shutter speed? Like
you're
what's an
like
example?
photographing like the world's fastest race car.
I guess that would make
Um,
sense. Would it actually be like really sharp while I was driving? Or would it be like still kind of blurry if it's like a really fast?
I mean, I've never photographed a race car, so I don't know. But the other benefit is just you're letting less light in. So if you have a situation where like there's too much available light and your aperture, for whatever reason, you're limited in aperture, maybe you can't go to a higher aperture, then you would
Ah,
try to bump your shutter speed so that you had a darker image.
right. Because if it literally is not open and not open
If it's
fast
not
enough.
open for enough time, it's not going to let anything in. So, and that's what the camera's doing. It's capturing light. So it's not going to be able to capture a lot of light
Mm.
if it's only open for 1/180,000th of a second.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be really
Um,
dark of a photo. I don't know how you'd have to like have
I
a.
honestly don't even know what purpose that is for. Like, I think like shutter speed to use to photograph world's fastest race cars. Even that is like you do not need that high of a shutter
I know
speed.
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think you like. Why would like that's the like.
Like 1/800 or above, it's saying. Yeah, it's really crazy. Like, what do you need that shutter speed for? And like when I was a beginner, like I used to prioritize using like the lowest aperture possible because I wanted like that blurry background when I was doing portraits. I still like there's a lot of photographers who like that is their style. Like Irene. Irene Rudnick still uses like she still shoots wide open and that's just her style because like she loves portraits.
Yeah,
Um and like so in that case, like if you had too much available light, like you would just use a higher shutter speed so that you could still shoot with like the low aperture and have a blurry background.
yeah,
But we're getting kind of off topic now. We're talking about camera settings, but I think it is good to talk about a little bit because you can kind of have some reference for like how this must have been harder.
yeah. The
But
capabilities of their time.
yeah, but still, like if you can go up to 1/1000th of a second, that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
you don't really need much more than that if you're able to be flexible with your aperture. The last one I'll show of Georgia O'Keeffe is 1930.
Oh, I love this photo. It's so cute.
It's cute. Also, I'd like to point out, like, again, I think he's shooting in harsh light, and you can see like there's a shadow on her face on the other side,
Yeah.
which like I've never had a problem with. I think the picture still looks beautiful. I've known some photographers who are literally so picky that they like don't do like they won't shoot in this light because they don't like that shadow or whatever. And
Yeah.
I just think like it's a good photo. I don't think you would need to like have a photo be like perfect to be like a good portrait artist.
Yeah. I think being able to shoot in like multiple different lighting conditions is probably good to have, a good skill to have, because you
Right.
can't always rely on the perfect lighting conditions, I feel like.
And not only that, but like this is a different perspective. Like
Yeah.
there's a shadow across her face, yes, but it's like showing this is how it looks in real life. This is how it really looks during this time of day. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people are dynamic. Like if you're going to be a documentary style photographer, you got to be able to like capture how people look in different lighting. Like
I love the
this is how it
movement of
is.
her arms. It's so cool.
I know I like how they're like pointing towards the corners of the frame.
Yeah. I don't know how else to say. I really like this photo. And it is very detailed. These are all like very like high quality photos.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it too. All right. So moving on. We're going to go through the notable works that I have in this folder.
Okay.
Um, we already looked at the steerage. Again, it says they're immigrants on a ship bound for Europe. I don't know if that's true.
Who
Like
knows?
this is what I had written here. But the image, he had said about this image, if all my photographs were lost and I'd be represented by just one, the steerage, I'd be satisfied. So, you know.
Wow. And I must have it all. Then if that's the case, then it must have had a lot of like meaning to him. And
So what happened on that ship must have affected him in some way.
yeah, I'm sure like
Because like you don't really say that just about any picture that you take. You
yeah.
like if you had feelings about it, then it's like gonna be more meaningful to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that maybe that moment, maybe something happened on that ship that was like a like some good defining moment. Or it doesn't even, I guess it
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to be that deep. Maybe he had a really great time on vacation.
maybe. Yeah, or maybe he just really
Good
liked how famous
memories.
the photo got.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, people like this one, so I guess I like it too. There could be many reasons.
But the next one, which I really like this one, honestly, I think this is one of my favorite. The next one I'm going to show is one of my favorites. It's called Winter on Fifth Avenue, and it was a picture that he took during a blizzard with a handheld camera.
Ooh.
And because of like the snow, it's like looks really dreamy,
Yeah.
and looks more like art. I really wonder like what his settings were for this since it was a handheld camera, but like because the image looks so painterly and because like I know like it must have been so bright out because like all the white snow flying around and like the
That's
white
true.
sky. It's so painterly. I don't know if it's the snow that's creating that effect or if it's him using a low shutter
Yeah, this is really cool.
because like the everything is like still really contrasted and like that's really hard to do in a blizzard. Like in any sort of like thing that you're
Mm-hmm.
shooting through something, it's like really hard to like make it look contrasted like this. So I really want to know what his settings were. Um, but
So let's go ask him.
like you can even see like the people in the back with like their umbrellas.
Oh yeah, now I see that. Yeah, I see those people. Yeah, it looks like
Like I'm thinking maybe
could
he
be a
used like a
drawing or
really
something.
like maybe he used like a really high aperture, like I don't know what the highest aperture they had available at the time was, but like maybe like f16 or something so that it's like really sharp, but also then opened up his shutter so that it was like blurry and kind of looked like a painting.
Hmm. It's a good prediction. I
I don't know.
I uh I
I
like
could be completely wrong.
there's a lot of like textures in here too. Like the texture of the ground. It's like very like much it looks like it's still even though like they're riding with like horse and buggies, not horse and buggies, but with like
Yeah,
on horses, they still have like just like how we whenever it snows, you could tell like, the road is all like
yeah.
shoveled down and like just you can see the tracks of the cars, but in this case the tracks of the horses. It's just cool. I like I
I
like
think
the
it's nice.
contrast of the buildings and the people. That's cool.
Yeah, me too.
It's
Um,
cool.
the next the next one I'm gonna show, I didn't show it when I was showing like all the other portraits of Georgia O'Keeffe. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't show this one. But it's hands and thimble. Yeah, so it's another similar to one of her hands, but just slightly different.
Yeah, it's like a
Like
top down.
it looks like she's like actually like doing something here. I don't know. Like I don't see the thimble.
Oh, I
I
think
trust
it's
that it's there,
no, I see it. It's
but
on her finger.
oh, I see it. Oh, I didn't even notice that.
My eye went right to
Um,
it. Yeah.
yeah, no, I was assuming that it was like between her thumb and her forefinger. That's where my eye goes when I look at this picture, like to the center.
Yeah.
Now I
She,
see the thimble.
she has very elegant hands. The way she moves her hands are very like naturally like elegant.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
whatever she's doing just look fancy for some reason.
yeah,
It's hard to do that. You can't just always look at elegant hands.
yeah. And she's got like there's like some satin cloth like in here, which is cool.
Oh yeah, that and like the cloth is like a little bit shiny too, so it just looks yeah.
Yeah, I think that adds to like the elegant, sophisticated feel.
That's
But
true.
yeah, so that's really well known one from 1920.
Neat.
And then another one of his series. So we'll talk about the equivalence series. So this is where he was trying to do like an abstract sort of series. So he did pictures of clouds.
I love
And
pictures of
these
clouds.
these went on for like 9 years, from 1925 to 1934. Yeah, so I guess his goal was to show them as like, you know, emotions, like emotional states. So he would like equivalent,
Oh,
like this cloud is like the equivalent of, I don't know, and then like an emotion.
I
Like I
see
think
that.
that's why it's called equivalence.
I was wondering why it was called
Um,
that.
and yeah, they aren't labeled with the emotions. Um,
I think it's up to the viewer to decide the emotion
yeah,
that
yeah.
they get from the
I don't think he
picture.
decided that. Yeah, he didn't decide that. It was just like the inspiration for the series. So the 1922 one, I don't know what this makes me feel.
Let's see. Let me
I
zoom
feel I
in.
feel I feel pretty calm looking at this one.
Yeah, I know it's basic because they're
I know it's basically
clouds,
looking at clouds.
but yeah, I don't really get too much of a
This one doesn't
emotion.
really evoke much. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, no
Let's go to
offense to that one.
1924. This one I feel like does something for me. I
Yeah,
don't
it's the
This
lighting.
one, yeah, because of the lighting, this makes me feel like angry. I don't know why.
I think it's
I don't know
just.
why.
I think it's. I would say it's like you're having a mix of emotions. Is what I feel like with this one. It's like a
Well, it's
turbulent
almost like,
emotion.
yeah, like the sun is being blocked. And I know how I feel when I'm outside and the clouds cover the sun. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just like, I want the sun to come back. This is annoying.
I mean, I sometimes I like when the sun's behind the clouds because it's really hot and the sun is making me very warm. And so I'm
That's
like,
why, it's why this is
this,
subjective.
yeah. I'm like, ah, some shade finally.
Yeah.
Depends on
But I
how
also
hot it
think it's
is.
really cool and contrasted. But for some reason, this makes me angry.
I don't know why, but it gives
Um,
me like a reflection. Like it's like the top half is like the top of a landscape, and then the bottom half is like a lake that's like reflecting it or something. I don't know why. Like, the bottom part like looks like it's like a reflection, even though it's not the same. They're not actually reflecting what's on the top, but it just like the quality of it just like looks like it would be like a. But I really like it. It's actually one of my favorite ones. That right, Araya? I think Araya agrees. This
she's
is
putting her mouth right into the speakerphone, so like her mouth is like this far from the microphone. Okay. Um, Next, 1926. This one, I don't know. This one makes me feel like dreamy, like
it is it
um,
is like a dreamy
yeah,
like
like magical state.
something's happening. Like these are the
Yeah, like yeah, something's
clouds
happening.
that you see like in a movie where like
Like
there's
like some shit's about to go down.
yeah, so it's just about to go down and they do a close up in the sky and you're like, oh, like it's Halloween or
Yeah.
something.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's so funny.
I literally, actually, there was one time that I was visiting, what was it? Mystic Village in Connecticut, and it was on like Halloween. It was around Halloween, and like there's like a full moon or something, and like you could see the clouds really clearly, and it looked a lot like this. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that really
I,
brought me
I've
back to
been,
that.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean because I felt the same thing when I was looking at this. I'm like, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Like it almost could be like that could be, obviously we know it's the sun, right? But it's like it almost could be the moon.
It could be the moon. I bet maybe they wouldn't be able
I
to
don't
take this photo
know.
in the moon.
I don't think it would be enough light, but it's still really cool. And then next,
Yeah, what the heck is going on here? Why did the clouds look sharp?
I have no idea. I mean, I just have to assume that this was a different time of day than the other one and that the light was more dramatic. Like the sunlight was harsher and therefore like stopped down more. to
Yeah.
combat the extra sun. Like I think there's a higher contrast here. So that's my guess.
Yeah, I think that this one could be called confusion. It's like when you're
What'd you
muddled.
say?
It's like I would call it confusion because it's like you're
Yeah.
muddled, there's too much going on,
Yes.
or like you're
Yes.
frustrated or
And you
something.
can't really see clearly or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what he was going
Something
for.
underneath the surface.
Who knows?
Okay, so I didn't want to spend too much time on these, so there's only one more. There's 1930 clouds.
I love these kinds of clouds.
Yeah, me too. This is like carefree, happy, like
Yeah, I think
nothing
these.
going on today.
I think these are called cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds. I keep forgetting how to pronounce that. Anyway, these clouds remind me every time I see clouds like these, it reminds like someone painted it with a paintbrush. These are like my paintbrush clouds. They just like
Yes.
look like
Yeah.
they're
Like soft
wispy.
strokes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just always like clouds like these. Favorite kind of clouds. Everyone has a favorite kind of cloud.
Yeah. So that's a really cool thing. And if you want to see the full equivalence series, I'm going to put the link in the Google Doc to that. Uh, I don't even know if it's all of them because I think there was a lot. But if you want to see more of these, and for
Cool.
some
I can
reason
put
you
them
guys,
in the description of the episode if I hopefully remember to.
yeah, the terminal. So this was a photo of horse-drawn carriages. Um,
Ooh.
and it again shows his like early like painterly pictorialist style. Yeah, so that smoke that you see around them, when I first looked at the picture, I didn't know what it was.
I
Um,
was about to ask you immediately.
really?
Yeah, what is going?
Yeah, so it's it's the steam from the horse's nostrils and the snow.
What?
Yeah, like it must have been that cold, dude. Like I, yeah, it's really cool.
Wow, I didn't know that was like that much. I was like, I'm like,
I know. I wouldn't have guessed that at first, but then if you look at like the like first horse, you can kind of see like that it's coming from like his nose mouth area.
wow, I never knew that it would look that much.
Neither would I. Neither did I. I'm very shocked.
Maybe people knew that back then. They're like, oh, these horses fogging up the place everywhere I walk.
Yeah. It must have just been really freaking cold. I mean, it was winter, it said.
Yeah,
Um,
I believe it. I
but
believe that it is. It looks
Winter
very.
City. Um, and then the next one is from the back window of 291. Like, I'm amazed that this photo is from 1915.
It's a
It looks like
nice.
it looks like something out of like a cartoon, like um, not cartoon.
Oh my
What is
god.
it called? A comic book.
Oh, I was literally, I was literally about to say that. It was so weird.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this
So
looks like a comic book. Like this reminds me for some
this
reason.
looks like Batman is about to fly in
Like
here and like
I don't
fuck
know.
some shit up.
I was like, why does this remind me of like a comic book?
I couldn't I couldn't put my finger on it the first time I looked at it, but it just came to me. And that's when I said it. I was like, wait, I know what this is now. Like, why does it remind me of something? And that's what it reminds me of.
This is really cool. It does remind me like you're in a comic book and like it's setting the scene and it's like or like
It's moody.
it's a
It's a
moody.
night.
I love that you can kind of see the signs in the
Probably
distance.
used a super slow shutter and a tripod for this.
Yeah, there had to yeah, I would imagine. I just love like seeing the signs. I always like looking at like signs from back then because people had to like hand paint them and they always look so perfect. Like people had to hand make the signs and they always look
Really? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, it looks so good.
yeah, they always look yeah, because like, sign painters like were a full on like profession being able to like paint them
Wow.
perfectly. in the
Yeah.
line and everything. Yeah, I just really like Newport Waste Co. and something coats Rothfeld dresses. Yeah, you could just like see
Oh,
a
yeah, I see it now. Yeah. I was looking at a different sign. I was looking at the sign in the foreground. Now I see what you were looking at. But yeah, that's
yeah, like the
crazy.
ones like in the distance that you could like still
Yeah.
see.
You can kind of like just barely make them out.
I mean, I like the one that is lit too in the front there, like
Yeah.
the first sign you see.
Also
But
looks like it also looks like there's snow on the top of these buildings.
oh yeah, it is actually. Maybe that's why he because it.
Honestly, he might have done that on purpose.
So
He
is
might
this
have
nighttime then? It has to be nighttime.
This is what I'm thinking. I think
Ha-
maybe he did this photo in the winter on purpose because the reflections from the ambient street lights probably
Yeah.
bounced off the snow and created more light.
Yeah, because I was just realizing, of course it's nighttime, but then I thought, but if it's nighttime, there wouldn't be enough light back then to do this, really.
But yeah, but then if you think about
But
all of
then the
those lights
snow,
reflecting off the snow, like snow always makes
snow
images
makes
so
it
much brighter.
super bright. That's like one of the cool things about snow, and I don't really like snow. But one of the cool things about snow is when you walk around and it's nighttime and it looks bright out. Um, I've always liked that part about snow. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really I really like this photo. It's crazy how we both have the same thought about it.
right?
Very geometric.
So the next one is 1902 spring showers. This one
Okay.
was like really hard to find. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not confident this is the full version because it was really hard to find a good version of this.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard for me to zoom in on this one.
and some of the versions that I found were not downloadable off of some of the museum websites. They were not downloadable, so I had to like find like other places. But this image, I guess, I think because of the reflections of the water, I think it's why it looks cool. It's not like one of my favorites, but I guess it's like pretty well known. Um, Again, it's like kind of an atmosphere photo of New York streets.
Yeah, I think it's still like a neat photo. I think I really like the tree. I mean, that's the main thing
Yeah,
that you see in here is a tree, and then everything
yeah,
else is like it does look very wet.
yeah.
There is definitely an
It's an
area.
interesting crop. It's an interesting crop, and again, I don't know if this is the full version because like I feel like there were other ones that I found that were like wider, but I couldn't download them. But I didn't know which version was like the correct one. There was a lot of different versions of this photo. Um, so that's interesting. But yeah. So the next one is the City of Ambition from 1910.
Ooh, I feel like I can get why it's called that
Yeah.
because of all the factories and all like this, like the factories are creating all this like smoke and like the. I feel like there must have been a lot of factories during this time, especially too.
Yeah, for sure.
And the tall buildings, I guess, are ambitious. Not every
Yeah.
city had like super tall buildings probably around this time period. So I feel like that could also be,
I think just
part of it.
the number of smoke chambers is kind of impressive
It is a
in and of
lot. And it really,
itself. Yeah.
it's sometimes it's
Like
like
to capture them all in one frame is cool.
you are wondering about the pollution from this time. But
Yeah. Also, like, what's annoying about these getting these photos to download is that I don't know if these are the original versions because when you like look up the image, there's a bunch of different tones. Like,
oh,
there's some that are like more sepia tone, and there's some that are like just straight black and white. So I don't know what's been altered or like what the original looked like, but like you can't really download the originals off like the museum websites. So like this is probably not what it actually looked like, but like you get the general idea.
that's true. Because you never really
I
know
don't
for sure. it's hard unless you're there in person at a museum.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We still get the idea. Um, I also like the clouds too. You can still see, even though it's kind of soft, you can still see the clouds. They're not very like, it's not a clear day. I think it was like a good choice to do it on like a cloudy day. It fits in with
Yeah.
the rest of the goings on in the photo.
Yeah. The last note one that he was really known for, we're not going to go into on here because it's more clouds, and I think we've already spent enough time talking about clouds, but I will link the link to his series of 10 cloud photographs that he wanted to create. Well, he named it after music because he felt like art could achieve the same like impact on your emotions as music. But
Oh, yeah. I would agree with
yeah,
that.
his so Alfred Stieglitz. If you are gonna remember Alfred Stieglitz, you can remember him as the guy who maintained that photography was not just a recording medium, but an art form, and then championed the like unique aspects of photography that aren't able to be replicated by other mediums, and then believed that photographs could express the artist's emotional state with his cloud series, um, and also just was really talented at pushing the medium, like for portraits, for cityscapes, landscapes, and pretty much anything. He was always trying to do something that was like more of a technical project, and more involved than just taking a picture. Like having to plan it and set it up and everything is part of it. And
Yeah.
also, finally, and kind of goes in line with his Cloud series about, expressing your emotional state. And he also believed that, like, it was more than just making pretty pictures. He believed it was a spiritual endeavor. So it was a search for higher purpose and ourselves. So for him, it was more than just making things that were pretty or popular. He really wanted to understand the world and himself.
So do you find that you can like relate a lot to what he was, his feelings on things?
Most definitely. I didn't really become more interested in doing photography full time until I really started investing in the spiritual side of myself and figuring out what I believe about like why we're here and what our purpose is. And I actually, when I was with you in California, Beth, and we went to that bookstore, I actually bought a book about this, and it's on my reading list. I have a
Oh, I
couple of
don't
other
remember
books
you
I
being
need to
that.
finish reading first, but I will.
I have like a vague memory of you buying
Yeah,
something
I'll
about
show you
him.
the book because, like even before I like read about Alfred Stieglitz, like I always felt like that was true. And this is a book that I bought when we were in that bookstore. It's called The Artist's Way, and it's a spiritual path to higher creativity. And I do believe that if you don't look at like why you're doing something, like it's not going to mean as much to you. So I think that like having like more than just like, oh, I want to make pretty pictures is important because if you just want to make pretty pictures, you can just copy other people and you can make pretty pictures. But if you want to do something that's different and do something that reflects your actual feelings about something, then I think that's like a whole different story. So
Yeah, I think it's really important to have like, meanings, have a meaning in what you're creating. Otherwise, just anybody can create it, which is why I think people have problems with like AI art. That's like a whole that's a whole thing,
for sure.
which is interesting because, you know, for a long time people would get mad at like photographers because, back in the day because they aren't, creating art in the way that they want people, like as people would expect. But then that happens again with like digital art. For a long time, people didn't take like digital art seriously, or like digital
Yeah.
photography even. And so, but then it's kind of like repeating history. You gotta like show that you can still have meaning with those things. And that's sort of happening with AI art, but I still think it's different because it's like how much meaning can you have with your AI art if it's like you're not the one who's creating it, and it's like a
Yeah. And
amalgamation of many
there really is,
people's arts. It's
there
very
really,
strange.
exactly. Yeah. It's really just, it's just copying. So that's why, like, I'm never worried about it because, like, the only thing that, like, differentiates, like, art from a picture is literally the person taking the photo. I'm not worried about competing with AI because, like, AI can never have my specific life experiences. It can never have my specific emotions. Can't have my specific perspective. It could replicate my specific perspective, but then it will always be seen as the thing that's replicating my perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not seen as copying AI, you know what I mean? So that's why, like, I'm not really worried about it as much anymore. Um, as maybe when, like, the whole debate, like, first came out, because yeah, there's no feeling or emotion or anything behind it or any thought at all. It's just replications and copies.
It is funny because like without us, AI wouldn't have anything. Like
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what would it
nothing,
copy if I didn't do anything?
nothing.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like they can't make
it's not
it.
going to take our jobs, because if I stop working, then it's going to stop working too.
You're taking away their jobs, the AI's jobs
Yeah.
by not.
Right.
um,
Technology works for us, so I think it's important to remember that.
yeah. So anyway, it is funny because people that do like who are like very pro using AI art kind of use that argument of like, oh, well, people didn't always think photography was art and people didn't always think that digital art was art. So one of these days, people will regard AI as art. And I just don't really think that that's that true. At least the way things are now, I don't really think that will change that much because I think it's just too different. But that's just my opinion, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if there are people out there who specifically want AI art, like, that's a niche, right? Like, I'm not in that niche, so I wouldn't expect those people to come to me. So I kind of have a more open mind, I think, thinking about it now than I maybe did before. And I think the people that truly value, like, what you or I do are going to still be willing to pay for it, and, hopefully, at least. But
Hopefully.
yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to use it to make my life easier.
You mean that like is easier as in like with your administrative stuff and like
Yeah, yeah, like with my editing and my administrative things.
so that was thank you, Allie, for bringing all that information to us about a photographer that I never really knew that much about. I always like learning about like photography from back in the day because it just looks like I like when you could be like, wow, that's something that you could take nowadays. Like it's not that different from what you might see. Like it doesn't feel that distant. So I think that it makes it kind of relatable, even though it's from like 100 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because I feel like I could go out to where 291 used to be and, like, set up a camera and a tripod and, like, try to replicate that, and, like, I could probably make it look, pretty similar.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Maybe that's a series one day. Allie tries to recreate
Maybe.
photographer.
I don't know when the hell I'll ever have time for that, but if
You
I'm
know,
ever in New York with nothing to do, then yes.
that's funny. A real quick nostalgic memory was when, okay, also it's really funny. Side note, Allie kept pronouncing mochi donuts as.
Mochi. Okay, so I thought that
It's
these were I did
funny.
not know what these actually were. I thought that I had a mochi donut and I never had one before. What I thought they were was like, like mochi wrapped cream.
I don't
I
even know what
thought
that
that's what it was.
is. I don't
I
know what
thought it was
that
like
is.
basically a pastry that I had something similar, or I had some, not similar, but I had something when I was traveling that was like a pastry and it was like mochi on the outside, like actual mochi and like, like the mochi that you get like around ice cream. Like,
I've heard of mochi ice cream before. Do you mean
yeah,
that?
and it's like, yeah, it's like it's not, it wasn't mochi ice cream, but it was like the same exterior as mochi ice cream.
Okay, I
And then
think I know what you're talking about.
the interior was like cream, like filling, like pastry kind of, but
Oh,
no bread. And so that's what I thought a mochi donut was. And so
I
when we went to
see.
actually go get a mochi donut, I was pleasantly surprised because I mean, it's not that the other thing was bad. I just really found out I really liked mochi donuts. And they're like just really good and sugary and yummy.
The texture is fun. I just like the texture.
The
It's
texture is
fun.
fun. I like that you can like break it off like piece by
Yeah.
piece. Like
I
it's fun.
yeah, it's just really funny. I never knew about mochi donuts until I moved to California, so I understand. But it was just really funny
I
that
think that there actually is a mochi donut place in Lowell, and
oh,
I've like driven by it a few times, and I always just assumed like it must be those weird things, and
they're
I'm gonna
definitely
go
more
there.
popular now. Like they definitely have gotten a
Yeah,
lot more popular.
I
So
am gonna go there at some point, so I'll let you know when I do.
wow, I really feel like having a mochi donut right now.
Me too.
Wow. I'm actually considering just ordering some right.
I kind of want to also.
Anyway, folks, that was
Okay, so anyway,
we're gonna go order some
thanks
mochi
for watching.
donuts. Yeah, it was fun. I had fun learning as well. And yeah, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.